Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to go over how to use the Surebets product with Betsniper and give you a brief introduction into arbitrage betting, why it's a great way to beat the books, and then also provide you some tips and tricks about how to maximize your returns with Betsniper. So what is arbitrage betting? It's essentially a guaranteed way to make profit by placing a bet on both sides of the market, covering all outcomes that could possibly occur. These situations happen because books set their odds by themselves, which leads to discrepancies and opportunities that we can take advantage of. At any given time, there are thousands of odds on a bookie's website, and what we do at BetSniper is scrape over 100,000 odds every minute, clean all the data, make sure it matches up, and then show you these opportunities where there is arbitrage. So why do I think arbitrage is so good? Well, firstly, it's risk-free, so you cover all outcomes of a given bet. So no matter what happens, you always win. Secondly, it's a great way to make consistent profit and build your bankroll. Every day there are plenty of opportunities. And so if you're new to this, I recommend highly starting off with arbitrage betting, as it's a great way to build your bankroll with taking on no risk. And lastly, it doesn't require any knowledge of the sport you're betting on. As long as you get the price that's listed, you can be sure that you've made a profit. So now I'm going to take you through the tool itself, show you how it works and how I use it. So at any given point, the page will show you a bunch of different arbitrage opportunities that are available right now. For each arb, you can see the date, the sport, the match, the selection, the market, the bookies, and they will also include links directly to the bookmakers, and then the bet. So as you can see here, we're betting over 3.5, under 3.5, which covers all the markets. And lastly, we have the odds, and then the arb percentage you would get if you did a perfect arbitrage bet on these bets. So let's take a look at this first example. So this first example is a bet on Najee Marshall assists, and we're betting over 3.5 with Ladbrokes, under 3.5 with Dabble, and the odds for over $1.98 and the odds for the under $2.25. Now, the most important thing to figure out now is how much to stake on each of these bets. And I'll show you two ways you can do this. The first way is the easiest and the most straightforward way, and that's with using a calculator. So on Betsniper, we have our own calculators on our website. So if you go to the calculator tab and then select the two-way arbitrage, you'll have four boxes here. So odds 1, stake 1, odds 2. And so all we're going to do is input our odds into odds 1 and odds 2. And so that's $1.98 and $2.25. And then we're also going to put a stake into stake 1. So let's just say we want to put $100 on that first bet. It will calculate what the stake is for the second bet. So that'll be $88. And that's to give us a profit of $10 no matter what happens. And that's pretty much the easy way to use a calculator. And the other way you could calculate this, though, is just by using basic math. So essentially what the calculator is doing here is that it's ensuring that both bets we place have the same payout. This ensures that we maximize our return and minimizes our loss. And so as you can see here, the payout is $198. And so all you got to do is, if you ever want to do this without the calculator, is when you put your first bet on, no matter what the payout is, let's just say it's $300, then your second bet you place, it just has to have a payout of $300. And the payout is the amount of money you get paid from the bet, including what you put on it. And that's a really easy way to calculate your stakes without having to go through a calculator every time. So let's go back to the Betsniper tool, and I'll give you a bit more of a rundown of the other things you can do on this page. So we've added also these filters at the top of the page to help you narrow your search down if you are looking for specific things. So you can filter by the bookie, and this is really helpful if you don't have access to some of these bookmakers. You can filter by markets. You can filter by sports if you want to look for a specific sport. You can filter for arb profit and setting a maximum and a minimum. So if you only want to see arb bets above 2%, you can set that threshold. And then lastly, we also have a starting in filter. And this filters the data for bets that are occurring in the next 6 hours, 12 hours, or 24 hours. Now I want to talk to you a bit about some strategy and some advice about things that I've gathered over the last 10 years of arbitrage betting, but as well as speaking to our most successful customers and asking them how they do it. So let's start off with staking. This is probably one of the most important things to know. One thing you must never do is round your bets to cents. In our calculator, although we do give you the optimal stake to cents, You should always try and round to the nearest $10 if possible, as no one really bets like to a cent. And the other main question we get often is like, how much can I stake? And ultimately, this is a bit of a difficult question to answer because there's kind of a lot of variables that go into it. And just some of the variables that I always think about is how primed is your account? Is this an account that you've lost money on a lot before, or is it a brand new account? What bookmaker are you betting on? There are bookmakers that have much higher limits and are much more willing to take on bigger bets than others, and these tend to be the bigger bookmakers. What is the market you're betting on? Is it a highly liquid match market, like a head-to-head market, or is it a prop market? And all of these are really important to consider because it does change the answer. But generally speaking, the majority of bets you'll be taking with sure bets will be on prop markets, and these do have lower limits, so you do need to be a bit careful with what you're staking. Obviously, in an ideal world, if you could put as much money as you want and guarantee profit, that'd be amazing. But these markets have low limits, so any bet above $100 would be considered kind of something substantial and something that if a bookie saw you making many of these, they would probably look at a little bit. And yeah, that's something you need to take into consideration when you're starting to make these bets. The last thing, and then it's kind of moving on to the next topic here, which is betting activity. So it's really important that you don't just do arbitrage bets on your account because it will definitely flag your account. You want to try and mix in some other bets, whether that's profitable bets or just negative EV bets to turn over some money in your account to so that if the bookmakers ever do review your account, it's not going to be as quickly picked up that you are arbitrage betting. So one of the strategies that we use is I call like negative arbs or low hold bets. And so these are bets that you can put on that the bookmakers are always going to be happy to accept your bet. It'd be good to turn over money in your account and you only take a small loss. And obviously we're trying to minimize as many losses as we can, but sometimes you do need to take these losses along the way to prolong your account. So to do this, I go to the sure bets page and I filter max profit for 0. And then the minimum I do around 3%. Then I also filter for match markets because match markets are really liquid markets. They're very well priced. Bookmakers are pretty happy to take your bets on these markets. And essentially what you have here is a bunch of really low risk markets that you can bet on both sides, turn over the money, and it should give your account like a good sort of boost for its account health and sustainability. So the timing of the bets is also another important factor. And my best advice is to try and avoid betting any more than 12 hours from the start of the match. The further the time from the start of the match, the higher likelihood that a big bet on these markets would get looked at by a trader, which is the sort of thing you just want to avoid. So you're better off trying to always bet when these events are happening or going to happen. And that's why this starting in filter is really, really good. And you can try and filter usually for like 6 hours or 12 hours is your best bet. You can use 24 hours. Again, it kind of goes back to some of those questions I was telling you about earlier about how primed is your account, what's the bet. So there's a lot of considerations to take, but it's ultimately a decision you can make. But the closer to the event, the better. My next piece of advice is related to accounts. So there's so many betting agencies. You just want to have an account with all of them. We don't want to be loyal to anyone. We're just trying to make sure we get the best price whenever we can. So my advice is to always have money deposited in an account, and that way that you're ready for when a bet comes and you don't have to deposit money into your account, because that really is what can kill you with arbitrage betting. Prices are constantly moving, and so this kind of goes into our next point, which is you always got to double check prices. What I suggest and what a lot of the users have been telling me is that they have both bookmakers open while they're betting so they can see both prices are live before they put the bet on. You should definitely always check if both prices are live. And furthermore to that point, what's helpful is you want to kind of be sitting on Betsniper for a little bit on that sure bets page, seeing the prices come through, seeing the prices update so that you know which is a fresh arb, and so you can be more confident that you're going to be able to get that, because particularly when matches are starting to happen, these prices are moving very quickly. And so you do need to kind of be switched on and ready to go. And you do need to be moving quickly. And lastly, there are just some nuances for sports that are important to know. MLB and NBA are by far the best sports for this due to the high volume of matches and the prop markets they offer. And soccer is another really good sport for arbitrage betting, but due to some rules that they have about bet results, mainly around players starting. You can be put in a pretty tricky position if your player doesn't start, but you have a bet on them. So it's just something you want to be careful about when doing arbitrage betting for soccer. So we've covered a lot in this video, but I think that should give you a lot of information to get you started with arbitrage betting. If you have any questions about how to arbitrage bet or use the tool, feel free to let us know. We're available on Discord or Twitter or X. And you can also email us and we'll be happy to organize a call if you would like as well. Happy sniping.